Welcome to this webinar session entitled Young Adult Leadership Series, 5 W's for Training Leaders of Tomorrow, Today. I'm Cameron, President of Youth Move, North Carolina, and graduate of the Leadership Series in 2012. Funding for the Young Adult Leadership Training of Trainers is made possible in part by the North Carolina Collaborative on Children, Youth, and Families, Training and Technical Assistance Committee, the Division of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities and Substance Abuse Services, to improve the quality and outcomes of community-based services. Josh's Hope Foundation and Youth Move North Carolina, youth partner of North Carolina Families United, the statewide chapter of the National Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health, and statewide family network. Now I will introduce our two co-presenters. Brittany grew up and went to high school in Forsyth County. She moved to Greensboro in 2005 to attend UNC Greensboro. Brittany was the recipient of the 2012 Young Adult Leadership Voice Award, awarded by the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. She's the secretary of the board of directors for Youth Move National and was an intern with SAMHSA in summer 2013. She is certified peer support specialist, Wellness Recovery Action Plan Facilitator, trained in Assist and Safe Talk, suicide intervention models. She's a member of her local System of Care collaborative. Just last week, she received her master's in social work. She loves hanging out with her cat and spending time outdoors. Brad was raised in a small rural community in southern North Carolina. He has lived experience with trauma, substance abuse, and depression, as well as being a family member of people experiencing similar issues. He is certified as a peer support specialist and trained in Wellness Recovery Action Plan and Mental Health First Aid. He is also a member of the Protection and Advocacy for Individuals with Mental Illness Advisory Council. Brad uses his experiences to work in both rural and urban settings with young adults dealing with their own struggles. Aside from his work in advocacy, support, and education for mental health and substance abuse, Brad spends his free time writing and playing music, and composing and publishing poems and short stories. His favorite activity is playing the guitar, and he loves to rock. He has been described by peers, mentors, and superiors as extremely compassionate, dedicated, and often told that he has a cheerful and calming demeanor. He looks forward to learning and helping more individuals grow along with himself. Purpose: provide background on the Young Adult Leadership Exemplar model, discuss the 5 W's, why, what, who, when, where, as it relates to the Young Adult Leadership Series, share a training opportunity with you to start a leadership series and/or chapter of Youth Move in your area. Turn it over to Brad.
One specific way Families United addresses the needs of emerging young adults is through enhancing youth involvement at the decision-making level by providing training to at least 25 young adult participants on how to effectively represent youth in governance and policy-making bodies. The model implemented by Families United comes from a strong history of work focused heavily on youth empowerment, self-advocacy, and youth-driven processes for developing tomorrow's leaders today. In 1997, the curriculum was developed in New Hampshire by a group of young adults who led the curriculum design process, and Gail M. Cormier, who provided oversight and established a partnership with Granite State Federation of Families to implement the series. In 2003, the University of North Carolina in Charlotte Institute on Self-Advocacy recognized the Mental Health Youth Leadership Series as a national exemplar model for supporting young adults with mental health issues to effect change in systems. In 2007, Gail became the executive director of NC Families United and brought the exemplar model of leadership to the state. In keeping with the philosophy of promoting youth, self-advocacy, and leadership, NC Families United partnered with a youth group called Powerful Youth to drive the process and redesign the leadership training for youth in North Carolina. In 2010, members voted to become more aligned with the National Federation of Families by changing its official name from Powerful Friends United to Youth Move North Carolina. NC Families United was officially recognized by Youth Move National as the statewide chapter of Youth Move in 2010.
So why do we use this model? Much of the service delivery systems available to emerging young adults are based on developmentally inappropriate adult recovery models developed by adults. Concepts developed out of the adult mental health field, like recovery, are often used exclusively to describe the process for young adults struggling with serious mental illness to build fulfilling and self-directed lives in the community. Although elements of recovery, such as hope, are considered value-added concepts, children are not little adults. They have unique needs. Research suggests that alternative options for engagement in mental health treatment driven by young adults are most effective. Engaging, empowering, and forming youth as leaders is not only best practice, but improves outcomes for youth with lived and complex experiences, which is critical to building the resiliency of young adults. Furthermore, prevention activities like the Young Adult Leadership Series help youth who have not yet identified as needing treatment to seek and find services, enhancing positive mental health and behavioral health outcomes for citizens in our state. The Exemplar model of young adult leadership is trauma-informed. This is an approach engaging people with history of trauma that recognizes the presence of trauma symptoms and acknowledges the role it has played in their lives. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with you?" we facilitate a process of engaging youth in processes that elicit, "What's happened to you?" It's also youth-driven, and it's youth-driven and youth-guided. Youth are there voluntarily because they want to be. The series is created from experiences of other youth, teaching skills they have found necessary to transition successfully into adulthood, and is also co-presented with youth coordinators. It builds developmental assets of young adults. These are the building blocks of healthy development that will help young children grow up healthy, caring, and responsible. These include external assets such as support, empowerment, boundaries, and expectations, and constructive use of time. Internal assets focus on areas of commitment to learning, positive values, social competencies, and positive identity. These are reinforced by young adults driving the process for ground rule and comfort agreements, which are established early on in the leadership series, and opportunities to use some of the tools they learn through role play and building relationships with their peers. Young adult leadership also promotes emotional resiliency and youth recovery. These are words commonly used when working with youth and young adults. Leadership is about promoting these concepts, along with strengths, hope, and optimism about events they have faced in the past, and feeling confident with whatever the future holds. And it's also person-centered. For example, youth are self-reflecting on their own needs and what supports are needed through individualized planning, such as the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. Young adults are in control of choosing their path.
The Leadership Series teaches empowerment. We give youth and young adults the training and skills they need to be self-directed and empower them to be self-advocates for their wellness. We have seen this enhance the wraparound process by young people becoming more involved in their treatment and child-family teams. It is culturally and linguistically competent. Leadership is developmentally appropriate, focusing on the youth and young adults, different from recovery in the adult world. Unconditional care creates a nurturing environment where sessions appeal to and accommodate all in attendance. Community-based and collaborative. Leadership helps to identify resources and strengthens natural supports to aid in the resiliency and recovery process. Youth must be seen in connection with their families, important people, school, and others. It is important and helpful to understand the nature of their relationships and the roles they play in the youth or young adults' lives. While families play a pivotal role in the resiliency and recovery of youth, their willingness to help may vary. During leadership, young adults explore their resources, natural supports, and overall social connections. Facilitators use motivational interviewing, for example, to explore ambivalence. The process of planning for leadership also mobilizes the community to support young people in a culture of unconditional and nurturing care. It is developmentally appropriate. Neuro Leadership is an emerging field of study focused on bringing neuroscientific knowledge into the areas of leadership development, management training, change management, education, consulting, and coaching. Understanding neuro leadership helps us understand the impact that our emotions and behaviors, as well as the behaviors of those around us, has on our success and failure. Neuro leadership utilizes the AGES model. This stands for attention, generation, emotions, and spacing. Attention. Creating an atmosphere and culture of rigorous attention to learning in the moment, driven by the session format, strong facilitators, and real-life experiences. Generation. Constantly asking facilitators and youth participants to reuse and rephrase the learning concepts in their own words, combined with unique stories, thus allowing them to make their own connection to the learned content. Emotions. Leveraging the power of emotions through experiential learning, which deepens the hard wiring of new learning. And spacing. Reducing classroom time, in this case hours of leadership, is 4 to 5 hours over a period of time, to a minimum, and instead spreading out the content over a couple of days and weeks.
So what is leadership? The Young Adult Leadership Series provides a supportive environment for young adults ages 15 to 22 to explore their strengths and needs, develop effective communication skills, learn about their rights as young individuals struggling with emotional behavioral health challenges. Some of these challenges include mood disorders, i.e. anxiety or depression, bipolar, obsessive compulsive disorder, schizophrenia, substance abuse, and/or trauma-specific disorders. Leadership is volunteer-based. Youth are not compensated for their attendance, and it is recommended that it's not court-ordered but presented to youth as a volunteer option. Not good when youth are forced to be somewhere they don't want to be. Recruiting youth requires some work, and we'll talk more about that in the phases part of our presentation.
So what is the goal of the Young Adult Leadership Series? To encourage the placement of young adults on advisory boards of community programs in the area of emotional, behavioral health, and/or youth transition-related issues. What is the content? Leadership consists of 7 topics. The Ropes Challenge that opens and closes the series, the Telling Your Story session, The Road to Leadership, Conflict Resolution, Young Adult RAP, a Wellness Recovery Action Planning, Positive Relationships, How to Build and Maintain Them, Community Resources, Learning Them and How to Use Them, Stand Up, Advocacy for Self and Others, and ends with a graduation celebration. The curriculum is driven by the young adults, so there may be adaptations to the topics. However, the 2 that must remain consistent are Telling Your Story, The Road to Leadership, and Young Adult RAP. There are many adult RAPs offered, but this curriculum has been adapted to fidelity by youth to make it more accessible. So when and where does young adult leadership happen? It happens monthly or bi-weekly, usually on Saturdays in workshops for 7 weeks, with a different topic each session and pre-selected by program participants. The location is always scheduled within the community.
So here you'll see the 4 phases of planning a young adult leadership series. We have found that planning at least 6 to 8 months out provides reasonable time to phase 3 when you actually begin to conduct the sessions. Keep in mind that some of the sessions are scheduled monthly on Saturdays or bi-weekly. Phase 1 is mostly structural. This is what you need to get leadership off the ground. You start with beginning conversations in your community with youth, families, and agency partners to get a sense of interest and support. This will help to establish or identify a youth leadership team consisting of 1 to 2 young adults, a family partner or caregiver. This person has defined as a caregiver or parent of someone who has received services and therefore has firsthand experience within the child and family system, or who has gone through the system themselves. You'll also want 2 agency or community partners. These can be persons within an agency or community-based profit or nonprofit organization, which includes the faith community, business community, vocational rehab, Division of Public Safety, mental health, substance abuse, child welfare, or high school or community colleges. Your team will provide support to the overall planning, recruitment, and evaluation, and presentation to the community partners, and most of all, serve as an adult support system to the young adults coordinating the session as they drive the development of the 4-phase implementation plan. Phase 2, emphasis is on recruitment. Recruit your heart out. You've got to put in the legwork. It takes follow-up and continued outreach from the applications you receive, and you can begin the nomination process of who will be participating in the series. Phase 3 is about implementation of the series. Don't forget to include a protocol for evaluating your leadership series. There's an established protocol for making phone calls to the young adults between sessions to check in and receive feedback. Phase 4 is a focus on graduation. You really see the accomplishments and how far the youth have come. This session we wrapped up with another experiential ropes challenge, and you could really see the bond that was between the youth. Upon successful completion of the leadership series, youth have the opportunity of getting involved in youth move activities by attending monthly meetings. They can also become a youth partner, a young person typically between the ages of 15 and 25 who has lived experiences, can educate, inform, motivate, and inspire others in an effort to create positive systems change. Youth partners also come back as an alumni of leadership and as a partner to the youth program advisor to support other youth throughout the series. If you're interested in bringing leadership to your area, then this is the training opportunity we have coming up for you.
So how do you join this leadership training of trainers? Between May 12th and June 15th, we are requesting applications. Youth leadership teams will consist of 1 to 2 young adults, 1 family partner or parent or caregiver, and 2 providers or community members, including the faith community, staff within schools, the housing community, elected officials, counselors, and many more. 4 to 5 youth leadership teams will be selected and notified by July 1st. On the week of August 25th through August 29th, the Young Adult Leadership Series Training of Trainers will take place. If you have not received the RFA packet, please email us using the contact information on the next slide, and we will be happy to send it your way. We can also connect you to others in your area who are interested in forming a team. The week of the training, this is our agenda. On Monday, day 1, teams will arrive by 11 a.m. We will have an orientation, a dinner, and entertainment by Youth Move North Carolina. Tuesday, day 2, UNCG's Team Quest will be coming out to help us with a ropes challenge, and session 1 will end the night with an open mic night. Wednesday, day 3, we will have 5 sessions this day in team implementation planning, and a night free to relax and enjoy the week. Thursday, day 4, we'll spend the day doing team implementation planning. On the 5th and final day, we will have another Team Quest Ropes program and Leadership Series graduation.
For more information, please contact Team Advocates R Us at the info on the screen.
We would now like to open the floor up for any questions that you may have. If you'll look on the right side of your screen, you should have a box where you can submit questions for us to answer. Some of the questions that we had in the earlier session were about forming a team. One of the ways that we suggest doing that is reaching out to a young adult that you work with in your agency and asking who they would like to have on their team. If there's a certain provider that they have worked with, or another youth that may be interested in going through the series as well. As we stated, we're also willing to share information of those that have participated in the webinar to connect those of you that are in the same area to help you form a team as well. Cameron, you're the president of Youth Move. Do you want to share your experience with going through leadership and why it was helpful for you?
In my perspective, my first time going through leadership, I was very eager, very willing to learn how to advocate for myself. I hadn't really told my story I hadn't really shared my story with a lot of people or anybody that could actually help or do something about it, or that could show me how to implement it within things that would actually make a difference in someone else's life. So when they gave me the chance, I immediately attached onto it, and it felt good. It felt empowering. It made me feel like I had the chance to change somebody else's life.
And why did you decide to come back as a youth coordinator for a leadership series last year?
Because I felt a sense of the ability to help somebody else. I know I felt like I was in a position where I knew I was doing something good for my community and doing something good for myself. And I would want somebody else to be able to have that exact same experience, because it's a great feeling to know that you're actually helping. You're increasing advocacy, increasing awareness. You're going out there and you're making a change.
Awesome. Thanks. Do you have anything to add, Brad?
I love the leadership series. I have been fortunate enough to both go through it as well as facilitate an entire series. Both times going through it myself as well as facilitating it, I felt like I came out a better version of myself, almost a better leader, more confident, more empowered, everything that leadership is there to teach. Yeah, and the next step will be training trainers, which I also very much look forward to.
Awesome. So the leadership series is a very valuable series, and we hope that you'll consider filling out the application to come with us to this training and take the leadership series and Youth Move back to your area. So if you have any further questions, our contact information is ncyouthmove@gmail.com. Feel free to send us any questions, and we look forward to receiving your application packets. Thanks for joining.
Ciao.